Atheist YouTuber Aaron Ra called Matt Powell a liar for stating that evolution teaches that all life came from a rock.
This guy is the answer to his own question of how dumb one can get. He knows that no one believes we came from a rock, because many people have corrected him on this over the years, and I've explained that to him myself a few times.
At 0 point in our ancestry were we ever descended from a rock. Nobody, nowhere, never, ever thought this. You have been wrong your whole life.
This is the grandfather of all of biology. In fact, this is the ancestor of all humans, according to Darwinian evolution. Interestingly enough, we didn't just descend from fish or from primates. According to Darwinism, we actually descended from rocks, and I'm going to prove that to you here in a moment. Here's from a scientific paper called Genesis: Rocks, Minerals, and the Geochemical Origin of Life. It states that rocks and minerals must have played key roles in virtually every phase of life's emergence, and they may have even acted as life's first genetic system. So here we have it, life's first genetic system.
I keep correcting you on this, but you do not correct yourself. That's why after 20 years, you still repeat the idea that I'm supposed to believe that we came from a rock, even though I've seen a dozen people correct you on this very point, and you've never fixed it.
Here's from Neil deGrasse Tyson. He said, "We are not figuratively, but literally stardust." Here's from Lawrence Krauss. He said, "Every atom in your body came from a star that exploded, and the atoms in your left hand probably came from a different star than your right hand. It really is the most poetic thing I know about physics. You are all stardust."
No evolutionary biologist, nobody promoting evolutionists believes we came from a rock. Nobody. That is a lie on your part, which you have never corrected.
I can say, and if I can interject, if you don't mind, I've actually brought the same thing up to you a couple years ago. But I have never seen any evolutionary biologist or anybody advocate that evolution teaches that we came from a rock. I have only heard that from creationist source. So can I ask you, do you have any citation that we can look at from a some kind of evidentialism from a evolutionary textbook that says evolution claims we came from a rock?
No one believes we came from a rock. Every time you've ever said otherwise, it's always been wrong. The textbooks you read from don't say that we came from rocks either. I know that this is one of your favorite lies, that you've repeated it every day for decades. And I know you don't have enough accountability to stop telling that lie just because you've been proven wrong as a matter of public record. But your followers, donors, and minions will notice how dishonest you are the next time you repeat this lie, because they'll know you know better.
You once said that rocks conceived. Do you still believe that?
We know that evolution teaches that because it is, like I said earlier, it's defined as chemical evolution. And then number two, I can actually show you a paper that actually explains this. So I'm going to go to the paper right now, actually. The title of the paper is that you owe your life to a rock, Mr. Jones. You owe your life to a rock. Erosion of metal-rich granite long ago set the stage for multicellular organisms. Check this out. This is literally what your theory is saying. It says, "Thank goodness for granite." This is how the article starts out. Thank goodness for granite. You know what? I would thank God for life, not rock. Thank God that we're alive. Thank goodness for granite. If not for the formation and subsequent erosion of large quantities of metal-rich granite, these heavy metal elements, Mr. Jones, had to erode from the granite that somehow came here by chance. A rock that we can't create on purpose somehow created itself by chance, and then when it was raining for 2 million years, it eroded the rocks to a point where multicellular life would now be able to use those chemical compounds to survive. That is what evolution teaches. That is chemical evolution. That is the fundamental of the theory.
I'd have to read that again. I did read it once, but I'd have to read that again to make sure.
It is what we're saying. So I'm not lying. You accuse me of lying.
Life are already on this planet, though.
What's that?
Some of the ingredients were already on this planet.
Yes, but the ingredients for life would not have assembled themselves if it weren't for the heavy metal elements that came out of the granite rock when it was being rained on for 2 million years, according to the model. So
rock.
Yep.
Sorry, go on.
I was going to say, so single-celled organisms could exist without it, but multicellular organisms, according to evolution, could not have existed, according to this paper, could not have existed unless these heavy metal elements were eroded from the rocks. So when you come on here and say, nobody believes, or when you get on your channel, nobody believes that we came from rocks, that's just a lie. You're just hearing that from other atheist YouTubers. Because this is what evolution teaches. If evolution teaches that the earth was a hot, molten ball of rock, and then it rained on the rocks for millions of years, and out of that soup came me and you over generations and variations, that is what evolution teaches then, is that we evolved from rocks, that we descended from the chemical elements contained in these rocks. So that is the model.
I'll have to read up on that because I didn't anticipate that question.
I'm not trying to be down on you, Mr. Jones, but isn't it kind of not a good thing to get on video and to bash me and say Matt Powell's a liar, he's just making all this stuff up, he's disgusting, when I have sources for everything that I brought forth today. Sources for literally every claim that you said I've lied about. I've brought sources forward for. So I would just encourage you to make sure to do research before you jump onto discussions like this, and don't call me a liar for making a certain claim that has been verified in this discussion, because it is a true claim. This is the model.
The rock thing, no, I don't believe for 1 second, no, because I think you're oversimplifying. Because you said on video that a rock. You said on video. I was quoting a paper. You said on video that a rock conceived.
What I said was.
Can you tell me how a rock conceives?
Can you say that again? I can barely hear you. Are you asking me about how a rock conceives?
You said on video a rock. They believe your exact words. They believe a rock conceived.
Correct.
You tell me how. You tell me how a rock can conceive.
I don't believe it can conceive.
But you said it did.
But no, your model is claiming that it did because it rained.
No. You said it did
on the rock. In the rock, within that rock, heavy elements came out, and then we evolved from those heavy elements. That means that we were conceived from rocks. It's not hard to figure out.
Not conceived at all. It's a total misrepresentation. You're trying to oversimplify things, and it's ridiculous.
It is not a misrepresentation.
It is complete misrepresentation. Well, you said a rock conceived. How does a rock conceive?
Then let the viewers decide. The viewers can pull up the article for themselves that says in the title of
I'll pull it up myself.
You owe your life to a rock. That's the title.
I'll read the paper. But I'm asking you right now, how does a rock conceive?
You tell me. I don't believe that it did.
What does it say in the paper that a rock conceived? What does it say in the theory of evolution that a rock conceived?
At this point, we're just arguing hermeneutics. You're moving the goalpost.
I'm not moving the goalpost at all. I'm not moving the goalpost at all.
I've explained.
You mentioned rocks.
You on this many times.
Gentlemen, let's relax. Let's try to do it one at a time here.
That's fair enough. You mentioned rocks. You said a rock conceived on one of your videos. You said that this is the theory of evolution. This is what it teaches. A rock conceived. You tell me where in the theory of evolution does it say a rock conceived?
The reason that we know that according to evolution, a rock would have conceived is because, and I've explained this many times, I'm going to explain it one more time and then I'm done. Because these heavy chemical elements that were contained in the rocks were rained on and were eroded out of the rocks. And then those heavy chemical elements were what made our life possible. So yes, the title of the article is You Owe Your Life to a Rock, and that is what they are saying. They say, thank goodness for granite or we wouldn't be here. They're saying we descended from rocks. They're saying that life came about via spontaneous generation, via soup. And you said that the RNA world was a good mechanism to rely on. That's the one that I personally buy into, is the RNA world hypothesis, which I debunked just about 30 minutes ago. Sunlight and water destroys DNA. So how is life going to assemble itself in sunlight and water on rocks? Explain that to me.
Well, I still haven't had an answer about how a rock conceived. A word does it say?
I've answered you 3 times.
No, you didn't.
3 times on this.
No, you didn't. How does a rock conceive? How does a rock produce an egg?
Mr. Jones, I'm not going to answer you again. I will say
How does a rock produce an egg? How does a rock produce sperm? How does a rock reproduce?
A rock.
How does it reproduce?
A rock conceived RNA via erosion of the granite, erosion of the chemicals, the heavy elements in this article that were eroded, that somehow conceived, that somehow assembled themselves in sunlight and water, the very thing that destroys DNA. You should be able to just say, okay, you know what? Sunlight and water destroys DNA. I'm throwing it out. But you'll still sit here and argue, well, why are you saying a rock conceived? I'm not saying a rock conceived. I was at Arizona State University and I interviewed them. And in fact, I could show you the interviews of them saying, yeah, we believe we came from rocks.
Oh, please do. Please do a video about it.
The creationists constantly misrepresent evolution. And the same thing with when he says, to this day, despite everybody correcting him, he still says that, well, evolutionists believe we came from a rock. Except that no evolutionists ever believed that. Nobody, not one, not ever.
Yeah.
So he says we all do, nobody ever did. This is just a lie he always tells and cannot correct.
The materials that eventually formed this organic matter that formed into what we consider life came from the water hitting the rock and the surface of the earth.
Nobody believes we came from a rock, yet the materials that eventually formed into life came from the rock being hit by water on the surface of the earth. The fact that they're embarrassed that they believe that life descended from rocks should tell us that we should boldly defend our faith and stand up for Jesus and what we believe in.
What I've noticed about Matt Powell in particular, because I've made more videos about Matt than I have about Ken, is that whenever Matt says something and I think, right, that's clearly a load of crap, so let me find out exactly what it should be. Whenever he says anything, I can almost always only find any reference to that thing he cited on a creationist science website.
I'll read the paper, but I'm asking you right now, how does a rock conceive?
You tell me. I don't believe that it did.
I find it intriguing how some of these guys that have a very big following, they will just make these blanket statements. Nobody believes we came from a rock. Nobody believes that, Matt. When you can just easily look it up.
They want to make believe this alternative reality.
It's like with Matt Powell, I am convinced that he knows that he's speaking nonsense.
You mentioned he's been corrected by so many different people. When has he ever said, okay, well, I was wrong about that?
No, he doesn't do that.
Change his position. Right, he doesn't. He'll be corrected about the same thing over and over and over again and keep repeating what he knows to be wrong. They're not interested in truth. They know that. Matt Powell's a professional liar. He knows everything he says is wrong. He doesn't care. It's a make-believe thing.